So the next video, the next Bellier video we're going to look at, guys, it's rating in 14 compared to WoW. Very interested to see what this is. I haven't really done enough. I haven't done a Savage. I've just looked at the normal raids. But going through like Alliance raids and all these other things, like obviously the raid design is way different. Talking to some of my friends who are Triple Legends with like how healing is done. Healing is way different in this game compared to World of Warcraft. So the raid design in both games is really cool to like, honestly, like raids is something WoW still does well generally. So if you experience both, you can experience a lot of interesting content. But I'm interested to see what they talk about, because they may talk about like Master Loot and everything else, because Master Loot is gone in WoW. And that'd be very interesting to take a look at. And like targeting BIS, that's a big deal too. Let's watch.
So I suppose let's do your thoughts on raids.
Pickups.
Yep. So, right. This is going to be I guess I'll start with where I've done so far, or actually I'll start with what I haven't done. In fact, so in terms of raids, I've not done Alexander. I've not done Omega. I've not done the Void Ark line, and I've not done Return to Ivalice. Those are.
I know what these things
I know
mean.
from your confusion. Basically, I've done.
We just did
nothing
Void
that
Ark
lies in
recently,
Heaven's River
so.
Stormblood.
Right, so you've only done Shadowbringers raid content.
So I've done the Binding Coils of Bahamut. Not the Unending Coil, the one I've done the Binding Coils, the original 2.0 raids.
Yeah.
2.0 up to 2.5 raids. And I've done the Crystal Tower, which is the Alliance raids, the 24-man ones in 2.0, which you need to do for story content now anyway. They should make the Binding Coils of Bahamut actually required, but I'll explain that in a little bit. And I've done... have I done everything in Shadowbringers?
Yeah, we've done the Binding
everything in
Coils.
Shadowbringers.
But we
Just
didn't
not
do it
on
mid-eye
stream or
level or
Savage.
anything. We just went through
But
them.
I've done all the normal difficulty stuff. As of the night before? As of the night before when I did Diamond Weapon. So I've done all of that stuff on normal.
So what are, just to explain,
Yeah.
what are the difficulty levels of a raid in this game?
So there are
Okay, they're going to talk
three
about
types of
difficulties.
raids. There are trials.
I will
Okay.
say this, and hopefully they mention it. I think WoW needs less difficulties. I think there's difficulty bloat in World of Warcraft. And a lot of people have been asking for this over the years. Like LFR, like why is that even there? It's basically the story mode. But the story mode in a lot of ways for 14 is normal. It lets people experience the content. So why don't we just go back to like a normal mythic and we're done? Why do we need 4 difficulties in World of Warcraft? And that also has separate eye level situations. So like the design would have to be different with eye level stuff. But that's a discussion for another time. But that since they're talking about difficulty, I think it's good to bring up that I think WoW has too many difficulties. You could just have normal, heroic, mythic, or normal, mythic, and then you're just good. Generally, maybe normal, heroic, mythic at 3 because of the way the itemization has been for over the years. But LFR is so unneeded nowadays, man. It really is. I don't see a point in LFR anymore. I think it just bogs things down to artificially create more content. Maybe that's the thing. More chores. Who knows?
Which are usually
14 does it
against
better.
single bosses in very big story moments.
My opinion.
And usually
Gotcha.
like singular in sort of nature. So it's a trial. Is just this, here's a boss, whatever. There's raids, which is usually you still do them one boss at a time. As like for example E1, E2, E3.
That
So you
miss
wouldn't
Big
queue
Hero
up for-
Kami.
I
Luge,
assume
thank you for the
Eden's
follow.
Eden?
Yeah.
Right, so you wouldn't queue up for Eden and then be in an Eden run doing all of it. You
No.
would queue up for a specific Eden boss.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
another
and then
thing.
when your
Queuing's
queue pops,
different.
You teleport in to
Yeah.
like what, just before that boss?
You teleport into that boss arena.
Okay, and is there trash between these bosses?
No.
No, not in normal raids as they're called.
You just
raids,
got
there's no trash.
whatever the arena
It's
is, and
literally
there's the
queue in,
boss.
fight the
No
boss,
trash.
out you go.
Huh.
It's really like it's really heavy instance.
In my standpoint on this, I think so. Here's the thing: Nathria is a very beautiful raid. So I like that there's no trash, and like I hated going through trash in Nathria every week, but trash drops BOEs, which goes into an itemization thing that some people can get gear from the BOEs, and then also thematically, it's cool to see the entirety of a greatly designed like looking raid. Because it's cool to look at all the stuff that you can see. If you just have one arena, obviously the fight can look cool and there can be a lot of cinematics to it, especially with how the music is handled in this game. but it's not the same per se. That's why the Alexander raids are so interesting when you see like the trash and running through it. But like, yeah, for example, Throne of Thunder was a very cool looking raid too, and I love Throne of Thunder. Hello, Luge. Hi, welcome. We're looking at a Bellular video right now. But that being said, I don't know really what I prefer. I like not having trash, but I also like seeing the entirety of a raid designed like just to look at it. You know, it's really cool a lot of the time. Like some raids in WoW look very interesting, and some look really bland. To be straight up about it, you know, some of them just look awful. Like Uldir, I really didn't like. Uldir felt pretty was one of the bland ones, I feel like, but there was still some cool stuff in it.
Sort of feeling in a way, but it vibes with general gameplay a little bit more.
Gotcha.
As far as I can turn, as I feel anyway, currently playing it, I've not really felt much of the downsides. And then there's Alliance raids. Oh, those are 8-man, by the way.
Yeah,
The-
so we've got
trials and
our
normal raids are
trials and
8-man.
normals, which are 8-man.
Yeah, single bosses.
And yeah, so a trial is
Nighthold
basically
was
like a
cool to look
one-shot
at
thing,
too,
like
yeah.
say Onyxia, like a one-shot boss raid.
Yes.
I don't mean one-shot as in clear, just, you know, one
Yeah, well, yeah.
boss
Yep.
to kill. So that's what a trial is, and then a raid, just called a raid,
Yep,
is
a
just
raid.
like 8-man, but the core difference between WoW is you don't have trash,
Yeah,
and
it's not.
you
It's
can,
not like a big instance or anything. It's
Yeah,
just. It's
so-
just you zone in, fight the boss, done.
you zone in, you fight the boss,
Mhm.
and in terms of difficulty levels, while it is something you can queue for, it is more analogous to normal mode difficulty in WoW than LFR difficulty.
I
like trial, no trash at all, true.
Is trials,
But I hated
raids,
Trial compared to Ice Crown.
Alliance raids,
A lot of people don't like Trial,
extreme
really.
trials, and savage raids.
Okay,
I guess that's the
so,
closest
Extreme and
thing to the
savage
no
being
trash raid,
difficulties of
though.
trials and raids.
okay, so your
keep me right if I'm
so
I'm going
trials
wrong here.
and raids
yeah.
are on normal, savage, and extreme difficulty.
No, trials are normal and extreme. Raids
Extreme.
are normal and savage.
Okay, so they're just called savage and extreme for really no particular.
Well, yeah, it's just what they're called. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that's definitely they have a lot of names for things, and that can be overwhelming in this
and
game.
the closest thing to I see people talking about the well, there's also ultimate, which is the hardest difficulty stuff that's completely like purely bragging rights in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if because
I wonder if they're going to talk about like the
they-
grand thematics
like I've not done any of them.
of
I
Ultimates
think there's only 3 of them in existence. at
or the
minute.
raids in general with the music and how
Which
it's
is,
presented
you know,
compared to WoW fights.
There's not very many, but they're pretty rare and they're completely nuts. They're their own raid. They're not like a hard difficulty. They're very very interesting.
That's the ultimate.
yeah, ultimate.
Because the
yeah.
experience is very high
So
up
that's
there
like
as
the
well with
unending
doing the
coil of
mechanics and doing the fight
an
well,
ultimate.
I feel.
Is an ultimate. Yeah, it's not another difficulty boss. It's a completely different.
Right, so
Boss.
you've got trials, you've got raids. and then
Wrath was
ultimates
one
are
of-
like,
it was a
they
very good
resemble
expansion
trials and raids,
in a
but
lot
with
of
their
ways.
own
Yes.
It still had
unique
issues, but it
type
was
of
very
content
good.
that's just
Yes.
super hard shit.
Also a great
Gotcha.
story arc.
Yeah. And then
Is there anything beyond Savage? Or extreme.
Ultimate is beyond savage. That's it.
Okay, but not within the same. So you
No.
can't do an ultimate Eden.
No.
No,
Okay.
there's no ultimate.
no
Eden.
ultimate Eden.
Yeah,
Okay, so that actually seems quite
it's different.
simple then. There's only 2 difficulty modes per type of content, unless it's an ultimate, in which case it's only an ultimate.
Then there's alliance raids, which have 1 level difficulty only, which are more akin to regular WoW raids, but a bit smaller. They're the 24-man ones that consist of 3 8-man groups.
You know what would be interesting and
Right.
not necessarily something I want, but actually, don't they do this? I was thinking about alliance raids. I was thinking about harder alliance raids, but technically, like Delubrum is a weird alliance type thing with a savage option. So there is content like that too in 14. You know, when I initially got into Final Fantasy 14, I thought the difficulty differences actually was a bad thing, but as I play the game more and I kind of really understand what's going on here, and that's why I haven't released like an impressions video, I actually like what 14 does in a lot of ways with their difficulty design and what they do.
And they are a little bit more, you're in here for a while. Not a long time. It's like 45 minutes. You're killing between, I think it's between 3 and 6 bosses because it varies depending on what expansion or whatnot.
And how much trash is there in an alliance raid?
Minimal.
Okay,
Like there's some, but they're mini bosses more than trash.
so it's basically not really.
Yeah.
trash in this game.
There's almost no trash in this game.
That's crazy.
It's incredible for
I mean,
how
I cannot think of a WoW raid.
Yeah, see, I like the
night
story a
where
lot,
there's been
Luge.
trash.
yeah.
And the developers have
I
continually
was very
told me
much
that I
taken
should
in
be
in Heaven's Ward.
happy about the pacing that the trash gives me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no, I've never. Like, I enjoyed Trial of the Grand or Trial
But
of the
that's
Crusader.
fine.
I didn't do Grand Crusader.
You know, we all like different things.
No, but I enjoyed Trial for like that reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think about Nyloth and I think, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. Nyloth sucked. I'm
But
sorry.
a lot of that was because of, trying to do trash. when
Thinking it's a
Craig is also in your
mistake,
group.
not paying attention.
Well.
Not to like stop the video. I'll just edit a little cut maybe. It is okay to experience the game however you want to. But if you feel like you could get more out of the game and you're fine with checking out the story, you should. Because for me, let me explain my standpoint. I feel like I like to be invested. So why am I here? Why are we doing this? Why is this fight happening? Even though I've done like mythic rating and high-end rating in other games, I like to know what my purpose is. It's not just about doing the fight, but also like, wow, I really want to kill Sylvanas. If they let us kill Sylvanas. Or, for example, the Alexander series or the Ivalice. Recently, I just did the Dalriada. The Dalriada like questline was actually very cool for Zadnor and Baja. I liked it a lot. But it's not for everybody. The story is not for everybody. It really isn't. But if you feel like you could get more from it, and maybe you could like take it slow or just take a little bits and pieces, it may enhance your experience. That's just kind of like how I feel about it. There's always New Game Plus.
Yeah, so it's.
I believe Cranny now is in Mr. GM's guild.
Is he interesting?
Or was he?
I don't know.
Was it at some point? Was he
I
not in
can't
Mr.
remember.
GM's guild? I
Maybe he
forgot.
was.
Is that
I
about
can't
Mr. GM now?
but-
What?
Yeah, so there's Ben Tyler with the Super explaining. Difficulty tends to be normal trial, alliance raids, normal raids, Eureka / Baja raid,
I think they're forgetting extremes.
Four-
which is
48.
48 man, then extreme trials and savage raids.
There we
That's
go.
the Baja Front and Eureka,
The-
which
the-
are their
you-
own types of content with their own progression system.
Yes, and their own raids.
Right.
Yep.
What? Tell me.
Yeah,
You like to
ARR
wear
and
what?
heavy-
Panties.
Luge, thank you for the sub, man. Thank you for the T1. Appreciate that. And also, if you want to take a look at the story, like you have 6 months to do it. And for everyone else, I've forgotten things because I went through the story relatively fast. And it is a lot to take over. And then, like, you don't really fully understand the world yet. So playing through it twice is actually, it enhances your understanding because you understand the world building before it. And then you can really appreciate it a little bit more. November, before the expansion, we are playing through it all again. And that is going to be some of the content going up to Endwalker. So basically, the streams going forward are Endwalker prep, finding out what jobs we really like, seeing what they're doing with the job changes as they announce it, really deciding what we want to do in Endwalker, and doing crafting, having our crafting prepared, having a ton of gil, doing other content, doing a savage tier, maybe doing a little bit more raiding, do a lot more extremes, do some collecting. It's basically just doing as much as we can. And then November we hit that, and then we start doing a refresher of the MSQ, and then Endwalker is released, and we go from there. Thinking about getting into 14, looking at this free trial thing. What free trial has to offer though? Level 60, so you get all the way up to level 60, all the jobs that you are able to get with the Heaven's Ward and the original up to level 60. You have Heaven's Ward, the entire Heaven's Ward story, and you also have a Realm Reborn. So you have up to level 60 content, and the story will take you a long time. And then everything else that is basically attached to that, I'm pretty sure. Half the game. Yeah, roughly half the game. Roughly half the game. If you have any more questions, I'd like to answer them before we get back to the video. But that's up to you. It's up to you, Dorp. There is no time limit. That's another thing. You are still limited in some ways, such like the WoW trial, where I think you can't join groups. They have to let you join. And then that seems easy. We'll give it a shot. I hope you enjoy it. I really do. I will say this. I got hooked in with Heaven's Ward, and then I never looked back. And I loved it. I think everybody gets hooked in at a different spot.
Big Hero Kami?
Dorp, thank you for the follow. I do appreciate you stopping the video. No problem. I do this for YouTube content, so I take stuff from my streams, but like I can edit that, right? So it's not as big of a deal. But generally, like when we're doing the video, I watch very closely. But I want to be able to, you know, talk about things specifically as well. Anyway, video.
Heavensward did pre-fight mobs in the 8-mans. Modern ones don't. I didn't know that because I've not done the... No, wait, the 8-mans in A Realm Reborn? Yes, yeah.
I want
there's a slight
Odin
amount of
redone.
stuff.
Just random
But, like,
thought.
Now there's kind of... Now, like...
Odin
I'm
Unreal.
basically going mostly off the Eden and Nier stuff because those are the most modern
Why
ones
wasn't
and what I
Odin in
suspect
Eden?
going forward. And they are such beautiful experiences in terms of how they're paced.
Yeah.
Like the Tower of Paradigm's Breach, the final Nier raid. Your had Dark.
Oh, the Nier raids are great too.
Wait, why do they call that the Nier raid?
Because it's
It's Nier.
a crossover with Nier.
So it literally is a crossover. with
Oh,
Nier.
dude, he's about to be blown away.
Their automata characters,
Legitimate-
and designs and enemies and
And,
everything.
and-
How,
oh my
how
god.
do they make that like not break the world in the immersion?
Because well, it's sort of it's
Or is
slight-
it just basically fuck you, Nier's cool, we put it in our game, enjoy it?
it does slightly break the game in a very slight sense, but they also kind of have some mechanics that tie in. So you go, that's fine.
Okay.
Whatever.
The
if it
tie-in
it
works to me.
and
I think it
guess-
worked
I mean,
fine.
You're a big
Yeah.
fan of Nier.
Also, it's canon and it's
okay.
canon in Nier.
Yeah.
Canon,
Oh,
it's
right.
Canon, it's
Yeah,
canon
it's
to the Nier
canon.
universe and to F14, so it's literally like
Boris
is-
here is saying two B leggings, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
yeah.
Sweaty
Yes, I
face.
feel like any 2B like costumes will do very well.
Well, yeah. I mean, the point is, in these raids, you get a crate that is full 2B costume.
Oh,
that
Yoko
meant-
Taro made it.
Yeah, he wrote it. Yeah.
Yep.
Whoa.
That's
Helped
why
design
I-
the raid
Right.
stuff too.
I have in one of my notes here. I have I'll remember that.
A lot
scene
of some
needing to
people
talk
don't
to
like
that
Paradigm's Breach, but I'm relatively new to Nier, and I have friends who love Nier so much, and they've like really consumed like I recently played through Replicant. Replicant is so good. Like everybody talks about Automata, Replicant blew me away, man. It really did. And I'm ready to play Drakengard 3 and some of the other games on stream. But Paradigm's Breach was so good. It was my favorite of the three. I didn't even, when I first went through it, I didn't even know what most of that stuff was because I don't think Replicant was out yet. But I went through it, and the final boss gave me so many. I hate to compare things like that because to me it's so sacred. I don't want to compare it to WoW. But I mean, the final fight has like the warlords. Was it Warlords of Draenor? Like the train fight? I think it was. Anyway, I'm losing my mind. But the trains really reminded me of that. But the rest of the fight was so beautiful. The music too. And I don't get the references apparently because like the boss is referenced to something in Drakengard, and I don't know about that yet. But I really look forward to that. If he likes Nier at all, dude, when he eventually gets to that quest line, the quest line was so good too. It was. I wish there were more crossovers handled like this in games. The crossover was so nice. It was handled very, very well.
Dwarf for a long time. People know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's like, man, it's unbelievably, unbelievably
There's
good.
a superhero from
Also,
Fight
the
for Buddha
fight
who
mechanics
said
were cool to look
Ultimates
at, too.
Are an homage,
I
or
loved
like an homage.
The
to
buildings
past
dropping and
content.
stuff. It was
They're
so, it was so
reimagining
cool.
of past fights meant to be a continuous 20-minute gauntlet.
Yep.
So, Ultimates are like so even though the thingy of Bahamut or whatever,
Yeah.
and Bahamut from what I understand is like the big dragon who came from the moon,
Yeah.
who is narrative content in A Realm Reborn,
Yeah.
and I assume he's dealt with.
Yeah,
after that.
I call
It's
Bahamut
the-
Cooler
or
something,
Deathwing
but
when I first saw
is that a thing
when
that
I first saw
happened
the
in A Realm
trailer.
Reborn? But then Ultimate
I believe
Chains of Bahamut came in like later.
I believe it came in Heavensward, and it's kind of I don't
which is
actually
expansion 1.
I don't actually know what the narrative framing for that is, but this is the fun thing. The extremes and the extremes and the savages aren't actually canonical content.
What?
This is weird. At least this is for the ones that I've seen so far. The higher difficulty
A lot of people were
versions
talking
are-
about in their donations
Recollections
about
of
like the
Stormblood, sorry,
difficulty
I thought it was
stuff.
Heavens
I
of
don't want to
Stormblood.
compare the two games.
But yeah,
The design is
That
far
stuff's
too
not
different, in my
canonical,
opinion,
it's
to really
recollections.
compare the two.
which is funny.
Until I personally do
like,
them.
One
I'm not
of the
gonna
things
talk
is the
about that.
minstrel's ballad, as they say. So you, after doing this raid, you go speak to a minstrel, and he sings a song about that raid,
Oh, that's
but
cute.
embellishes details.
Oh, so the additional difficulty is the embellished details
Yeah.
from the minstrel.
Is that true?
that how they
Actually, is
explain it
that
being
is
video
that
game?
really what it is? Is it because you go to the minstrel? It's the embellishments that make the mechanics harder. It is. I did not catch on that. Oh my god, that's so funny. That's actually such a nice thing to do, I think.
Game bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, to give you the difficulty, it's just the minstrel trying to make you seem like more of a badass.
Yeah, you basically play fanfics. That's what someone just said.
We've got the killer stove
That's
here
funny.
just supering us, saying the Nier universe canonically has timeline hopping and dimension hopping, which
Yep.
makes crossovers incredibly easy.
Yeah, I mean,
Cool.
the entire
Need to
Nier,
play Autonoma.
the entire Nier series is based off a alternate ending to Drakengard 1, where the disease from Drakengard somehow, I don't know how, because I've not seen the ending, makes its way to modern day Tokyo.
Oh, that's really cool. I guess Replicant will dive into that if that's the.
That's the main story
Okay.
of Nier.
I think
Replicant was very good.
Ultimates here. Keg Gaming dropped a super saying, imagine fighting Lich King, Syndragosa, Blood Queen, Lanafel, and Sarfang back to back at the same time
yeah.
while Uther doesn't help.
Uther
Yep.
just
Wait,
watches.
Uther? Well, it says
Probably
Luther
means
there,
Tyrion, I
but
imagine.
probably means Tyrion, yeah.
Yeah,
So
Tyrion
is an
forgery.
ultimate going to be like, hey, what if you had to fully defeat the Lich King and
Uther's
there
dead,
was
isn't he?
no ice
Like that's why he has
cube
Uther's
breaking
tune in
Chad?
Classic and like the Plague
And
Lands.
then that would be the ultimate.
But Uther
so it's, like,
comes
not
back
canonical, but it's
for the Bastion.
Okay, gotcha.
And
Thanks for
then,
super,
and
by
then,
the way.
and then
That's-
the
that's a
minstrel
handy-
sings about it a little bit.
It's handy when things are explained in terms of WoW because it's just, we know that, so it's easy to
Yeah.
understand.
That's really cool. I like that video a lot, and I think we discussed like some things that possibly like he didn't mention. But generally, like I really like what 14 does with their raids. Like I like that there are mechanics that catch me off guard. Because every time we do another like WoW tier or we like do Mythic Plus dungeons or something, like generally the mechanics are pretty like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, this is blah blah blah. But learning all this stuff in 14, I've been caught off guard. Like after Stormblood, I got caught off guard a lot of times. And then like when you go into Alliance raids and stuff, I died when we did Dalriada, I died to the dice mechanic because I didn't know what the dice mechanic meant. And now I do. So I won't die to it again. I hope. But I like it a lot. I really do. I love the raids in 14. And I think I still like the raids in WoW, but I think 14 gives you another like slice of life, if you're a raider. It's nice to dabble between the two games. It's really good. Hey guys, if you're here, I also stream MMO and variety content on twitch.tv Big Hero 60. Have a good day.